that day, as they tell us, wouldn't the buses be lined up in the parking lot since they weren't in use? Footage has surfaced of a long line of school buses evacuating from Lahaina. Speaking of vehicles, there are currently over 18,000 cars sitting idle at the Maui airport.
Maui's rental car companies are working to ship out part of their inventory as tourists have fled the Valley Isle.
Thousands of cars are still parked at the Kahului airport, and many say it reminds them of the pandemic.
At Kahului Airport and the surrounding fields, it's a sign that Maui's economic engine is at a standstill and appears like a repeat of the COVID pandemic.
They're two separate lots, and they're both full of empty cars, and yeah, it's just surreal. Yeah.
And from an airplane window, the massive scale of devastation from the Lahaina wildfire comes into full view. There are 7 rental car companies at Kahului Airport. The Maui District Airport Manager says there are 21,000 rental cars. 3,000 are currently rented, leaving 18,000 cars to sit idle.
There's one more video I'd like to show you, again, with no sound, but if you pay attention, it may also prove that we're being lied to about the children being sent home from school the day of the fire. To add insult to injury, the good people of Maui are now being forced into bankruptcy and eviction from their own homes. Once again, Nick Sorter voiced his outrage, saying, "Hey FEMA, how about all the people on Maui that are about to be forced into eviction and bankruptcy because you're rejecting the vast majority of residents' claims? That $700 is a freaking insult to the people of Maui. Even your own employees know this is a freaking joke. Get it together. The great people of Maui can't handle the suffering much longer. Not including rent or a mortgage, $700 lasts less than a week for the average family in Hawaii. FEMA fails the people once again."
Name me one major issue that we've set our mind on solving we haven't been able to do.
Joe Biden made an appearance in Florida to check out the damage from Hurricane Idalia, and people there want to know why he still hasn't gone to East Palestine yet.
I said in March that you would go to East Palestine, Ohio. You came here. How come you haven't gone to East Palestine yet?
Well, I haven't had the occasion to go to East Palestine. There's a lot going on here, and I just haven't been able to break. I was thinking whether I'd go to East Palestine this week, but I then was reminded I've got to go literally around the world. I'm going from Washington to India to Vietnam, and so it's going to be a while. But we're making sure that East Palestine has what they need materially in order to deal with their problems.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy toured Lahaina over the weekend and pledged continued support to help rebuild Maui.
I think there's disasters and they're going to continue to be disasters. I think we could better prepare where a disaster doesn't happen.
And McCarthy also made a little trip to Hawaii over the holiday weekend, visiting the wildfire-devastated communities of Maui. While there, he vowed the people of Hawaii would get the truth on what started the fire, why it grew out of control, why residents weren't notified faster, and what can be done in the future to prevent this type of devastation from ever happening again.
Ron DeSantis calls what happened in Maui an absolute catastrophe.
Do you trust the federal government to help seeing what happened in Hawaii just a few weeks ago in East Palestine a few months ago?
Look, I think the Maui is a total catastrophe, what happened there. And I don't think we have all the answers to that. I think we should have all the answers to that. It's interesting how incurious our corporate media is about what happened in Maui. I mean, I don't see them interviewing parents who can't find their kids, but we know there's a lot of people missing. So that was a total disaster. Really, really heartbreaking to hear some of the stories, even though they're not being publicized.
At a Medal of Honor ceremony this week for 81-year-old Captain Larry Taylor, Biden walked out before the closing benediction, leaving the recipient, as well as those in the audience, quite confused.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me for the benediction. Most holy God, we thank you.
Destruction of this month's devastating wildfires.
The death toll there has reached 114 people.
Wow, he's finally here. Wow, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for nothing.
Over to my right, there are a bunch of people out here. They've been here for hours. A bunch of them are protesting. They have their makeshift signs.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
Cardboard signs, a lot of them saying, as we've been talking about, that he's too late. Some of them feel that he should have been here much earlier.
Aren't we Americans too? Like, we're part of the United States, but why are we getting put in the back pocket? Why are we being ignored?
I don't want to compare difficulties, but we have a little sense, Jill and I, what it's like to lose a home.
Us and FEMA turned away water donations for the people in the shelters and instead gave the people in the shelters their own water. And guess what? The people in the shelters got sick. Do you know that FEMA turned away all of the donations from Big Island? No, they didn't even turn it away. They threw it out in the landfill. They literally threw it away. Do you know that FEMA threw away 150 home-cooked meals from a restaurant for these people because it wasn't FDA approved? They just threw it in the trash. Do you know that FEMA stayed in the hotels that cost more than $1,000 a night while they were there? Oh, but we could only afford to give these people a $700 one-time payment. This almost looks coordinated.
There are two types of billionaires in this world. One is Elon Musk, who shipped over 650 Starlink internet kit to 40 plus organizations across Maui in order to reconnect victims. The other is Oprah, who is fueling money into one of her organizations from middle-class folks on social media. I haven't met a single person here on Maui that has gotten a dime from Oprah, but I've met dozens that have benefited tremendously from SpaceX internet connection. It is too much to ask Oprah, who owns over 2,200 hectares on Maui, to step up. If anyone received anything from Oprah personally, please let me know. I'd love to speak with you. This is somebody on ground zero reporting on what is going on. It can clearly tell you one thing. Elon Musk has been silent and is doing this. I have checked on Google to see if any person has published an article pertaining to this. Nobody has done that.
See a bunch of school buses. These are the school buses that were taken away from the fire by military professionals. As you can see, this is a airfield at an unknown location. You can see the jets in the background. This is a military base, and there's a lot of mysterious occurrences that go on here that I can't go too deep about. I think I've already said too much, but if you're looking for the children, they're probably somewhere in this general facility. I'll leave you the Easter egg yourself. There's more videos, and if you take a look at the billboard right here.
A pain and suffering has turned to anger for some residents tonight after national news reports saying FEMA workers have turned the tragedy into a vacation. Our Jelani Martinez joins us now with the details.
I mean, I feel sick.
Dustin Cleopu lost his home in the Lahaina fire.
So they're seeing government employees or government volunteers staying in these luxury accommodations, being funded by taxpayers. That's where a lot of the frustration comes from.
A FEMA official we spoke with does not deny they are staying at five-star hotels and that taxpayers' money is paying for lodging for employees and survivors, but says it's not what it looks like.
FEMA personnel and responders are not here on vacation. We're all here for the residents of Maui and the survivors of this terrible incident.
Daryl Habish says instead of the $1,000 a night rate, FEMA is paying hotels the government rate of $345 a night. Whatever the cost, political analyst Colin Moore says these are difficult times.
It's jarring to see these images of the people who are there to help staying in these luxurious surroundings. I understand the outrage. It's also important to remember that there's a per diem for the amount of money that government workers traveling can spend. Obviously, alcohol isn't part of that. The amenities on a resort aren't part of that. They're there to do their job. And
more than 1,000 FEMA workers are on Maui, and more than 2,000 evacuees are also staying in hotels and other housing.
FEMA personnel are not taking away hotel rooms from any survivors at all. We will move out and live in tents. And believe me.
See a bunch of school buses. These are the school buses that were taken away from the fire by military professionals. As you can see, this is a airfield at an unknown location. You can see the jets in the background. This is a military base. And there's a lot of mysterious occurrences that go on here that I can't go too deep about. I think I've already said too much, but if you're looking for the children, they're probably somewhere in this general facility. I'll leave you the Easter egg yourself. There's more videos, and if you take a look at the billboard right here.